I don't think I've seen your sister's dragon before. Fei Yanbo took his eyes away from Solingyu. He tried to find out about the dragon from Suiping by beating around the bush. He didn't want to ask questions that could pry into other people's privacy, but curiosity was eating him alive. He had never seen such a dragon, which in itself was odd. He was an advanced teacher at the Berserking Blade Academy. He knew all the pets that were listed on the illustrated book of battle pets, which, of course, included those high-profile and rare dragons. He could say that he knew pets better than his son and wife. Since his father had brought up the question, Fei Fei began to eavesdrop keenly. But Suiping said nothing in reply. His only response was a smile. Fei Yanbo felt unhappy that Suiping would not reveal the answer to him. That being said, it was natural that he would refuse to reply because the dragon was Solingyu's secret and he promised that his store would make her a champion. Fei Yanbo decided to change the subject. I think your sister's dragon is approaching the 8th rank. Making it to the top 100 will not be a problem for her. I think congratulations are in order. Suiping answered politely, I can say the same thing about your students. 2 of them are good and Luo, in particular, has great potential. Mr. Su, you're too kind. Luo is too young. He has the skills, but as for his experience, he needs to train for a few more years. Fei Yanbo knew his students very well. Fei Fei was unhappy that he didn't get the answer he wanted. Yet, from the dragon, he could tell that Suiping was not an average person. He never flung out another rude remark to Suiping again. Suiping and Fei Yanbo exchanged some small talk. Since it was getting late, he decided to leave. He said goodbye to Fei Yanbo and thanked him for having offered him seating space. Fei Yanbo was surprised, seeing that Suiping would leave so early. There would be many more matches following. Wouldn't he want to see how the other participants fared? After some consideration, he thought he understood Suiping's decision. As a titled battle pet warrior, he probably was bored after seeing those kinds of fights. Suiping said his goodbyes and then sent a mental message to Solingyu, telling her to return home with him. I'm still watching the games. Solingyu protested at once. Suiping rolled his eyes at her. The first challenge contest will go on for 24 hours straight. Can you finish watching them all? I'd rather see you using this time to practice. You have let out the dragon. From now on, when you go up to the stage, just summon the dragon and let it take care of things for you. If the dragon fails to protect you, then your time at the Elite League would have reached its end. Solingyu opened her mouth but said nothing as she recalled how she dragged her pets down this day. Suiping said nothing else to discourage her. Theoretically speaking, a student like Solingyu was not qualified to enter the Elite League. He had forced her to participate and could not complain about her weak skills. That being said, to become a powerful person, one had to tread the unusual path. If she had waited till she graduated, trained 3 years to gain experience, and then waited for another 3 years to come and have the first try at the Elite League, she would have won a good place and exhibited an amazing performance, but by then, she would have wasted too much time. To experience things that were not designed for her current age could help her grow up faster. This was not a case of pulling up seedlings to help them grow, but to induce her to mature earlier. Suiping needed Solingyu to become more mature mentally and to see herself as a powerful warrior. This way, Suiping wouldn't have to worry when she left for the top-level academy of the continent. After graduating from that academy, she could establish her name. As such, she could lead a life without concerns. This was not a peaceful time, after all, but a time of chaos. The only thing that separated them from the raging monsters was a wall. Strength was the only true wealth in this day and age. They left the branch venue and went back home. Suiping first went to see his mom. Wu Guansheng wasn't waiting there. Suiping supposed that Wu Guansheng thought she had little time to study when she left for this day's match, so he didn't show up for the lessons. So, Solingyu's afternoon had been freed up. Come to the store later, So Ping said to So Lingyu, and then went back to his store after he said goodbye to his mom. So Lingyu didn't understand his intention. She spent some time chatting with her mom and soon hurried to So Ping's store. What is it? You have to train, right? Let her teach you. So Ping was sitting behind the counter, wiping the glasses. He glanced at So Lingyu, who had just entered, and pouted his lips to point at Tang Ruyan. She'll teach me? I'll teach her. The two girls said different things but in one voice. Both were equally baffled. Then, they glared at each other as they came back to their senses. So Ping, are you serious? Are you telling me that a waitress from your store is going to be my teacher? So Pingya was furious. She was weak and she did slow down her pets that day, but he didn't have to belittle her like this. What an insult! Tang Ruyan was stamping with fury. Who are you calling a waitress? Everyone in your family are waitresses. So Ping darted Tang Ruyan a glance. Do not get me or my family involved when you argue with her. I will beat you. Tang Ruyan stared at him with wide-open eyes but failed to think of a comeback. This monster would throw her into the painting and shake her out often. He would never be a gentleman. He would certainly dare to beat a lady up. You two are colluding to bully me. She stomped her feet again. A warrior preferred death to humiliation. So Ping didn't answer. He turned to So Lingyu, who was also feeling affronted. He said, she's not outstanding, but she's more than capable of teaching you. Besides, she's not a waitress. She's just a temporary helping hand. As for the day when she can officially become part of the staff, I'd say that far off in the future. She also faces the risk of being fired. And yet again, Tang Ruyan flew into a rage. What did he mean by not outstanding? She was a blessed girl. The future family head of the Tang family. She was outstanding even among all the major family's disciples. She became an advanced battle pet warrior when she was less than 20 years old. How many people could have done that? Besides, far off in the future? It was not like she was looking forward to that. He made it sound as if a store helper here were as grand as an army general. I would have already left if it weren't for the fact that I cannot defeat you. So Lingyu stood akimbo and said, I don't want to learn from just anyone. I would rather train by myself in case she messes up my skills. Tang Ruyan was practically foaming at her mouth because of those two. You don't want to learn? I don't want to teach you. It's not like it's a dream job or something. You, a middle-rank battle pet warrior at the 4th rank, is holding me in contempt. Do you even have a brain? If her acquaintances would have been there to see this, their jaws would probably drop. The lady from the Tang family, who was always quiet and elegant, was actually capable of using such vulgar language. Who would have thought? So Lingyu was surprised since Tang Ruyan was able to tell her rank. She challenged the latter, is that so? At which rank are you? Show me. Tang Ruyan sneered as if saying this was what she had been waiting for. Then, she wore a look that said, just you wait and see, and released her astral powers. She displayed her strength as a 7th rank battle pet warrior right in front of So Lingyu. So Lingyu was struck dumb with astonishment. She didn't realize the store helper was an advanced battle pet warrior. She could not believe that the girl was at this rank given her look and age. She had thought that the girl had been hired because she had used her pretty looks. It took So Lingyu a long time to come back to her senses. She stared at Tang Ruyan in confusion and surprise. What was Tang Ruyan trying to achieve by being there and work when she was so powerful? Tang Ruyan noticed that So Lingyu had been struck by awe. She sneered arrogantly. Now, girl, do you think I'm qualified to teach you or not? But even if your answer is yes, I still won't teach you. Your realization has come too late. So Lingyu was still trying to figure this out. So Ping had not said a word up until then because he wanted the girls to settle their disputes by themselves. Since they had stopped arguing, So Ping said to Tang Ruyan, Teach her some of the combat skills of the Tang family, or some of your secret skills. If I am happy about your teaching, I may release you earlier. Tang Ruyan could not believe that Suo Ping would threaten her like this. No way. She refused resolutely. The Tang family's secret skills cannot be learned by outsiders. Then, which one do you think is more important? Your life or the secret skills? Suo Ping questioned. Tang Ruyan bit her teeth in hatred. She had never thought for a moment that Suo Ping would let her off the hook. But now, he was basically killing the goose that laid the golden eggs. Tang Ruyan had become impatient. She had been a store hand for days and met so many people. Why hadn't her information reached the Tang family? Had she so little fame? I will teach you some common skills and tell you that they are our core secret skills. Either way, you cannot tell. Tang Ruyan inwardly sneered. Since she had agreed, Suo Ping turned to Sol Lingyu, who was still lost in her thoughts. Hey, wake up! Learn from her. Go to the test room and get ready. I'll be with you in a moment. Sol Lingyu finally came back to her senses. She was less capable than Tang Ruyan and she could only admit it. She was a bit embarrassed. Tang Ruyan was not much older than her, but the former had already become an advanced battle pet warrior. Her appearance and her abilities were both excellent. Sol Lingyu felt that she had lost to Tang Ruyan across the board. Alas, I still have so much to work on. Sol Lingyu bit her lips. The previous argument no longer mattered to her. Thank you, she said to Tang Ruyan. Tang Ruyan was more capable and she was qualified to teach. To be stronger, Sol Lingyu was more than happy to lower her proud head and acknowledge Tang Ruyan as her teacher. Tang Ruyan didn't say anything in reply, even though Sol Lingyu had shown a sincerely humble attitude. You are coming? What for? Tang Ruyan asked Suo Ping. She was a bit worried. If Suo Ping were there with them, she believed he would be able to tell that something was off. After all, no matter how honest this man seemed to be, he was more scheming than anyone. He would not be easily fooled, not like his sister. Suo Ping replied with a glance at Tang Ruyan. He appeared to have seen her through. Tang Ruyan's heart skipped a beat. She snorted and stomped away as she headed to the test room. Sol Lingyu went after her at once. Suo Ping heaved a sigh and quickly finished cleaning the counter. He folded the rag, put it aside, dusted himself, and stepped away. While he went past the pet room, he saw Joanna leaning against the door. Do you want to come and watch? He asked. Not interested, Joanna coldly declined. Suo Ping didn't force her to go. Given her abilities, most likely, she didn't care for the girls' training. He didn't ask Joanna to guide Sol Lingyu because the skills Joanna had mastered were too complicated. He wouldn't be able to learn them immediately, let alone Sol Lingyu. Letting Joanna be the teacher would be a waste of time. When Suo Ping went to the test room, they had already selected a setting. It was a comprehensive environment. Tang Ruyan pulled a long face. She wasn't happy at the prospect of teaching the girl that had verbally insulted her. Upon hearing the door opening, which implied that Suo Ping had arrived, Tang Ruyan finally softened her look. She cleared her throat. What do you want to learn first? Battle skills such as the ways to use your fist, sword or body, or pet skills that can improve your pets or how to work better with your pets. Which one do you want to learn? Sol Lingyu was in complete astonishment. She could tell that Tang Ruyan was not glad, but that did not bother her. She just didn't know that Tang Ruyan had mastered that many skills. How informed she was! She had to be more outstanding than the average advanced battle pet warriors. Sol Lingyu began to think. She was trying to figure out the most suitable skill for her to learn at this stage. Suo Ping walked to the sides and said to Tang Ruyan, just teach her something to protect her life. I remember you used it once, something about egg glaze. Teach her that. Tang Ruyan could not believe what she heard. She glowered at Suo Ping as if they were mortal enemies. What the guy mentioned as the glaze? He couldn't have meant the Tang family's unique skill, glaze bulwark, could he? How did he know about this? I do not understand what you're talking about, Tang Ruyan said coldly. Su Ping grinned. I heard it all when you were robbing those men of their treasures. I was there long before you knew. That titled battle pet warrior tried to kill you, but that old man was protecting you. The former was unable to take away your life. You mentioned that the Tang family had 3 special skills, the glaze being one of them. Teach her this and we will deal with the other 2 sometime in the future. Tang Ruyan was so shocked that she stared woodenly and her jaw was hanging. She remembered when he captured her. She and her family's team were ambushing another team with a titled battle pet warrior, never foreseeing that Su Ping was lying in wait. This guy, he was there the whole time. Tang Ruyan felt an urge to slap herself on the face. Why did she have to brag? Why didn't she just finish the battle and be done with it? Solingya was just as shocked as she was. Treasure? Titled battle pet warrior? All of a sudden, she found it hard to fathom what Su Ping had experienced. Is Su Ping saying that this waitress working in his store could protect herself against a titled battle pet warrior? Who was she? You're so dirty. Tang Ruyan was so angry that she couldn't breathe. Panting, she clenched her teeth in hatred. This guy must have planned it all out. He was going to get the 3 secret skills from her. It's not as if you'd lose the skill if you teach her. I don't think compulsory education was ever effective in helping you learn to share. Su Ping shook his head and sighed. Tang Ruyan was bursting with anger. Why would they share their family's unique skills? How different was this from simply telling someone to share their family heirloom secrets? A skill would not be called unique if anyone could learn it. The unique skill would turn into a textbook skill. Go ahead. Maybe the Tang family will send someone to pick you up before you can finish your lessons. Su Ping went on with his persuasion, which sounded more like sugar-coating his threat. Tang Ruyan's anger rose and it was then mixed with frustration. She could not accuse Su Ping of abusing her because he did give her chances for her to show up in public. Still, after such a long time, she had heard nothing from her family. Are you blind or deaf? Did you even want me, the future family head? You see, our store's business was popular, and it only slowed down because everyone is watching the Elite League. The customers will come back after the competition ends. Su Ping went on, you know about our competition against the other store. If this girl here were defeated before she could win the championship, our business would go downhill. Without customers coming, you would have fewer chances to let people see you, right? If that happened, you would have to stay here longer. I would be so sorry for you. Tang Ruyan almost laughed out of extreme anger. You feel sorry for me? Why are you keeping me here, then? You're just tying me on your boat. She wouldn't believe Su Ping's nonsense. However, he could overpower her and she was being held captive. Refraining from teaching Solingya was not an option. It is what it is. She didn't want to make it too ugly between them. She snorted. Don't waste your time. I will do as you said. But whether she can learn it or not is not up to me. My sister is not that smart. You have to promise that she can learn it, Su Ping said. After those words, both girls began to look at him with fierce piercing eyes. Tang Ruyan had never seen anyone as shameless as him, nor someone so was that shameless while being that powerful at the same time. All the powerful warriors were graceful. None of them could have had such a brazen face. Solingya was full of wrath. Not smart? I am number 1 in my grade, okay? Tang Ruyan took a deep breath to calm herself down. She thought of something else that pleased her. She realized that Su Ping's sister was in the Elite League. If Solingya could learn this and use the skill at the competition, more people would be able to see that. By then, when someone noticed that it was a Tang family skill, the family would be informed, right? By then, her family would send someone to find out the truth and the clues would lead them to her. As such, her chances of getting out of there would improve by a great margin. So Lingyu shivered in fear after seeing this odd grin on Tang Ruyan's face. All of a sudden, she wished she could quit. So Ping was planning to drown Tang Ruyan with more of his persuasion. After all, she had to seriously make an effort when she gave the lessons. He would not be able to tell if Tang Ruyan were to deliberately hide something if he pushed her too hard. As he was just about to say that more people could give her more exposure, he noticed the grin on her face. Did she figure it out by herself? He couldn't help but gloat. It was always easy to make a deal with a smart person. As for whether the Tang family would show up, he wouldn't have had Tang Ruyan working at the store temporarily if he had such concerns. After all, the glaze bulwark would only be useful when So Lingyu was under attack, especially if she only learned the first few layers of the skill. It would be hard for people to tell what skill it was. But the same could not be said for a combat skill. One release and people would know the origin. Tang Ruyan made up her mind. But, she didn't put that into action just yet. She planned on secretly teaching So Lingyu after So Ping was away in case he would stop her. There wouldn't be much he could do once his sister used it in a match. Besides, she could claim she was merely doing his sister a favor. Since you asked me to teach your sister, what was wrong with letting her know a bit more? I was showing care to your sister. 9th rank beasts. So Lingyu could not believe the view that Tang Ruyan was describing. A human skill would enable her to stand up against a 9th rank beast? In So Lingyu's mind, humans were born to be weak and had to rely on their pets. Pets were once wild beasts and then were tamed by humans. Now, Tang Ruyan was telling her that with this skill, she could fight a beast by herself? Tang Ruyan inwardly sneered at So Lingyu's reaction of surprise. She knew that she had stunned the girl. Immediately, Tang Ruyan began to explain the working mechanism and teach So Lingyu the basics. The lesson went on for half an hour, but Tang Ruyan could still see So Ping within her sight. She turned to him and said, "Listen, the Tang family's secret skill is not a verbal skill, especially the glaze bulwark. Not only does she have to practice it, but she also has to take some herb baths to refine her body. If you have no such herbs, all my lessons will be a waste." So Ping smiled, "What do you need? I'll go and find them." So Lingyu didn't know that learning a skill would mean people had to make such a big fuss about it. She felt sorry that So Ping had to take care of those trivial matters. She told herself that no matter how this waitress would taunt her, she would remain humble and learn the skills. Tang Ruyan was glad that she could get rid of So Ping so easily. On the outside, she kept a straight face. "Then, write the names down. I will tell you the herbs needed for learning the first 2 layers." "Sure." So Ping nodded. Tang Ruyan finished telling him the list of herbs. So Ping did not waste another second there. He went back to his counter and logged onto the Explorer's website to search for those herbs. Luckily, those herbs were not rare and he found them in a second-level warehouse except for one that was sold out. So Ping checked other higher-level warehouses but found nothing. He frowned. All of a sudden, he thought of someone, the one who was helping him find materials for him to cultivate the solar bulwark that came with the legendary battle pet warrior. He went through his contact list and found the number. The name he came up with for this person was, Supplier of Herbs. "Hey, it's me." He could not remember that guy's name, so he had to rely on that guy recognizing his voice. On the other end of the call, Lin Ziking was scared to hear the voice. He knew who was calling, so he had picked it up at once. He treated So Ping as he treated Yuan Tianchen. After all, someone that was equal to a legendary battle pet warrior was with this young man, and that person seemed to be stronger than Yuan Tianchen. "Mr. Su, hi, how can I help you?" Lin Ziking said politely. If his friends would have seen this, they would think they were hallucinating. This Mr. had influences in both the legal businesses and underworld businesses. Usually, people would shiver in fear upon hearing the name Lin Ziking. It was unbelievable that he would talk to someone with such respect and politeness. "Have you found the materials I asked for?" Su Ping asked. Lin Ziking had expected what this call was about. He answered at once. "Sir, I'm working on it. We have learned about a location where we can find the herb. We're trying our best to get it for you." "Oh." Su Ping raised his eyebrows. This came faster than he had thought. Once he got all the materials, he could officially start working on the solar bulwark's next level. "Hurry!" Su Ping kept pressuring Lin Ziking because he wasn't sure whether that person was actually trying his best as he claimed. "Don't worry. Consider it done," Lin Ziking promised at once. Su Ping moved away from this topic and switched to the herb that he was looking for. He told Lin Ziking the name. "Find this one as well and send it to my store as soon as possible." "Sure, of course," Lin Ziking answered readily. Lin Ziking stopped smiling as soon as he hung up. A cloud came over his face. He almost crushed the phone with his hand. "You're using me as an ATM, you punk." He was a man with pride, being a person who could command the wind and the clouds. However, he had been forced to listen to this young man. He thought of the golden-hair girl from Su Ping's store, which filled him with both anger and shame. He bit his teeth in frustration. Su Ping didn't go back to the test room after he figured out how to procure the herbs. He went to the pet room, closed the door, and began his own training. Sol Lingyu and Tang Ruin were still in the test room when Su Ping came out from the pet room at night. He decided not to go and disturb them. Sol Lingyu had no matches the next day. The first round of challenges was used to weed out a large number of participants and would last for at least 3 days, which could give Sol Lingyu time to recharge. During his free time, Su Ping went online to search for information about the other participants who had made it to the second round of challenges in the Crescent Zone. He pulled up the videos of the more outstanding ones. Su Ping had no more worries after having learned about those participants. Thus, he went back to the nursing pen to cultivate. Soon, 3 days passed. The first round of challenges had ended. Some who had lost during their first turn managed to get to the second round after winning 5 times in a row in the one-on-one matches. The second round had officially kicked off that day. On this occasion, 100 would be selected. In total, there were 3,000 who had made it to the second round of challenges. The passing rate would be 1 in 30. After the second round, all the contests at the branch venues would be completed. Afterward, all the participants would go to the main venue in the uptown area and fight for the top 1,000 places. After that, the top 100 would be selected and then the qualifying tournament for the top 10 places and more. Each base city would come up with 5 representatives. The top 5. The entire competition would last for over half a month. Everything was just beginning at the moment. On the 4th day, same as before, Su Ping drove Sol Lingyu to the venue. "Su Ping, your sole attention is on me these days. I remember you have other customers that bought the top 100 or the top 10 packages. Don't you have to visit them? If they lost, on their way," Sol Lingyu shared her concern with him. It came as a surprise to Su Ping that his sister still remembered this. "You are the key. As long as you can reach the championship, it won't affect us much even if the others accidentally lose. It will only have some personal influence. Don't worry. I did pay attention to their matches. All of them did well." With the pets he trained for Sol Lingyu and Ye Hao, reaching the top 100 was not a problem for them. The Lu family might want to stop them, but given the random nature of the name drawing, it would be hard for the Lu family to target them one by one. The Lu family had great powers. Still, this was an elite league that every major family had its eyes on. To secretly switch out opponents would be difficult. Besides, stopping participants other than Sol Lingyu would do them little good. If Sol Lingyu won first place, her glory would definitely wash off any other disgrace that other losing customers could bring to Su Ping's store. The Lu family was aiming to crush Su Ping's store. They had no personal vendetta against Suiping's customers. But the contestants' seating area was less crowded. Only a bit over 3,000 had passed to the second round of the challenge, from the more than 10,000 that had passed the initial test. Of the 3,000, 2,000 had made it to the second round by winning the 1-on-5 contest directly, while the others got in because they won the ensuing 1-on-1 contests 5 times. Same as before, 8 stages were set up. The battles on the 8 stages would begin at the same time because the target was to select the outstanding participants as soon as possible. After all, the most exciting games were the ones that would take place at the head venue in the uptown area. Suiping sent Solingyu to the seating area and then looked around. Having failed to find an empty seat near her, Suiping went the rows further behind and found a place to sit down. He didn't meet Fei Yanbo that day. He looked around and found nothing out of place. Then, he covered his face with a hoodie and began to take a nap. More and more people arrived and the seats around Suiping were occupied. All of those people were simply part of the general public who had gone there to see the fun. Soon, the second round of challenges commenced. This time, it would be 3 people on the stage at the same time. One would have to defeat the other 2 to win. The winner would make it to the next round and the losers would not have another chance. They would have to say goodbye to the Elite League. Because of this rule, many participants would fight desperately for the chance to pass to the next round. Still, the names were picked out randomly. Gradually, the 8 stages were all occupied. Suiping had learned the rules by heart and nothing would pose a threat. He looked at the stages in boredom, waiting for Solingyu to finish her turn to head back home. Soon, Solingyu's name came up. Stage B2. As the other 2 participants walked to the stage, a fierce fight was on the verge of breaking out. The battle ended as soon as it began. Solingyu summoned her Moonfrost dragon since people already knew about it. The dragon's roar stunned the other 2 participants still and then the breath of ice froze the entire stage. One of them had a stronger ability. He reacted fast enough and hopped off the stage. The other one, however, became an ice sculpture on stage. One gentle touch and he would be broken into pieces. Solingyu didn't kill him. She told the Moonfrost dragon to inhale back the ice and unfreeze the person. This man had complex feelings about this. He wasn't able to put up a fight and had to acknowledge defeat at once. The battle ended within 1 minute. Neither of Solingyu's opponents stood a chance to win. As soon as the battle ended, Solingyu called back her Moonfrost dragon. Even though the battle ended fast, she had caught much attention. Many people among the audience knew about this strange dragon and of Solingyu before they went to the venue, thanks to the overspreading of negative reviews about her. Still, seeing Solingyu like this, those present had fewer doubts about her. A girl who had earned her status by using her body would have never been able to train a violent dragon. Suiping was not surprised that the battle had ended within such a short time. He stood up and waited for Solingyu to seek him out. Solingyu came out from the participants' seating area. Regardless of the looks trained on them, Suiping took her home without wasting any time there. As for the other participants, it was not because of his arrogance, it was just that Suiping honestly didn't think watching them was necessary. He had followed some participants who had a high chance of winning the championship on the internet. Those people were not at the Crescent Zone, but the uptown area. After all, those people would have lost their faces if they were found out and exposed about having competed in the shantytown area, instead of the uptown area where they lived in. After they went back home, Suiping told Solingyu to go and take lessons with Tang Ruyan. The herbs he ordered online had arrived and he was going to brew them for Solingyu to bathe in. After the past couple of days, Solingyu had progressed by leaps and bounds. She absorbed the knowledge like a parched land suddenly receiving water. Solingyu had reached the upper position of the 4th rank and was 1 step away from reaching the 5th rank. Suiping knew full well how talented his sister was. It was just that their family was poor and had no resources. If she had grown up in a major family, she would not be weaker than any of the future family heads. On the fifth day, Suoping took Solingyu to the venue. This day was the third round of challenges. 1,000 participants had been selected from the previous day's round, and 100 would be selected this day. They would go to the main venue. All the zones would produce 100 winners, except for the King's Zone and the Fallen Dragon Zone of the Uptown area that had 200 quotas. In total, of the 12 branch venues, 1,400 participants would be picked out. Ones to make it to the top 100 at the branch venue was glorious enough already. The names would be released to the academies and those people would be made examples for other students to learn from. Those winners would not be carved in the annals of history or something, but it would be enough for them to brag for the rest of their lives. This day's matches would be even fiercer than those of the day prior. As per usual, the names were picked out randomly. The first group was generated and then the participants would challenge each other to win the pass. When Solingyu walked up to the stage, Suoping paid some extra attention. Soon, he realized that he didn't have to worry at all. The Moonfrost Dragon came out, roared, and took care of the opponents with a breath of ice. Two of Solingyu's opponents had pets with advanced bloodlines, but it was of no use. The Moonfrost Dragon's roar had miraculous effects. Those pets trembled in fear and their powers diminished greatly. Suoping knew that the Moonfrost Dragon's roar was strange because Joanna had found a major god dragon, more powerful than legendary battle pet warriors, to teach the Moonfrost Dragon. This dragon's roar was just as good as the dragon's roar that the Inferno Dragon had picked up from the Dragon King's heritage ground. This dragon's roar was particularly effective to those pets that were not even close to reaching the legendary level. Passionate audience, lively matches. When the winner of the top 100 was determined, everyone chanted and cheered. Sitting amongst the audience, Suoping was unaffected by the prevailing excitement. Solingyu's winning was as expected and it just happened in due course. Since it wasn't a surprise, it would not stir up his emotions. The matches lasted till the night. The high-power spotlight in the venue shone as brightly as the sun. Even the blades of grass by the stages could be clearly seen. The top 100 winners were invited upstage by the hosts one by one. The chief of the Crescent Zone presented them with pins and medals in person. The 100 people would represent the Crescent Zone and would fight in the finals. Once someone won the championship, it would be an honor for the entire Crescent Zone. It could help the Crescent Zone's economy develop fast in the next few years and the municipal government would allocate more resources and benefits to the Crescent Zone. Solingyu and Suoping had returned home. Their mother cried tears of joy. Thanks to the live streaming of the games at the Crescent Zone branch venue on TV, she had seen how Solingyu had won, and how the chief of the Crescent Zone had distributed medals to the winners. In the past, Li Qingru would have never imagined that her daughter would receive such honors. Solingyu herself was excited as well. She still had a long way to go before she could reach the target that Suoping had set for her. Nevertheless, she had made a critical step forward. She felt an upsurge of emotions at the award ceremony. For the first time, she had a taste of the charm of honor. Suoping smiled at the two cheerful ladies. He went to wash his hands and sat down by the table, waiting for dinner to start. This was bound to be a sleepless night. The Crescent Zone had determined the top 100 winners and the name lists of the top 100 winners of the other zones had been published as well. That night, the 1,400 participants had become the center of attention. Regardless of their background, their financial status and whether they were unknown to fame or not, overnight, all of the 1,400 people had become stars. They had worked hard for years and finally, they had received their rewards. Of the 1,400, the brightest stars naturally were the ones who had high hopes to become the champion. Coming up next would be the selections at the main venue. Online, across different chatting forums, people were heatedly discussing the possible top 10 winners and the most likely champion to be. Who would win the championship would forever remain the most popular topic. On the internet, videos of the top 100 participants of all the branch venues had gone viral. Anyone could have found a video of those winners. All of the 10 most promising participants' videos had the highest view count. The videos included their matches at the mass selection, the challenge contests and how they had won to be part of the top 100 in their respective branch venues. The ones with more outstanding performances had gained a heftier support rate, and those who had demonstrated mediocre performances and stayed low profile had seen a drop in their support rate. At the same time, some who were previously unknown to the public had attracted much attention because of their excellent performance during the mass selection and the challenge contests. Those people had made their way into the list of the most promising participants. Uptown. The Liu family estate. The mansion was ablaze with lights and bustling with noise and excitement. Outside in the yard, a celebration party was ongoing. All the participants from the Liu family were there to celebrate. The Liu family had even invited some stars and celebrities who had added more vigor to the overall excitement. Within the mansion, some higher ups in the family were tasting wine and conversing. The Qin family boy hid himself well, as per usual. He managed to win all the contests with 1/8 rank abysm beast. We all know that those future family heads will never expose their major pets before the finals. Anyways, about that sorry little store that was fighting against us. Have you seen that girl who claimed that she was going to be the champion? Have you watched her fights? Yes, I did. About that dragon, I asked many professors that study dragons. It should be a mutated Moonfrost dragon. Of all the top-level dragons, Moonfrost dragons rank number 8 and is also rare, sort of. If this Moonfrost dragon is her strongest card, then there is a way for us to win. But if not, then it can be tricky. Lu Tianzong glanced through the crowd. He sounded unconcerned. Don't stress yourselves over this. Brother Zilong helped me observe the girl at a closer range for me. She is just at the 4th rank. No matter what she does, the pet she controls cannot be above the 6th rank. Say that is indeed a rare dragon with great talent, the best it can do is to use powers of the 7th rank. Now, considering the worst case scenario, that the girl has some kind of treasures that can strengthen her mind so that she can master a pet of the 7th rank directly, what can 7th rank pets do? They might use 8th rank skills at most. The others looked at each other in disbelief. That girl is at the 4th rank. Is that true? Although they knew that their family head was unlikely to joke about this matter, they still had doubts. Was that store crazy? How could a 4th rank battle pet warrior win the championship? They had seriously belittled the value of this competition. Of course, they were talking about the championship at the Longjiang base city. Still, this was what all the major families were fighting for, and all of their participants were the elites in their families or the young future family heads. Even with a pet of the 9th rank, let alone the 8th rank, no one could say that they would take the championship for sure, unless their pets could use powers stronger than the average 9th rank pets. The ultimate 5 winners would participate in the international contests on behalf of the base city. The champions of every base city would be at least at the upper position of the 8th rank and even the 9th rank. Otherwise, at the international stage, anyone at a lower rank would only survive for a single round. I thought someone important was supporting the store. Turns out, the owner is just crazy. It seems that they have not only made light of us, but also of the Qin family and the Mu family. Zilong is a titled battle pet warrior, and he couldn't have been wrong about the girl if he stayed at close range, unless that girl had some treasures to hide her energy. But I don't think they needed to do that just to throw us off the scent. They breathed in relief, feeling that their previous worry was for nothing. Lu Tianzong added, the contests at the base city level will come next. All the participants will have to go through a unified test in order to pick out 1,000 directly. For this test, the passing line will be the lower position of the 7th rank. We can consider lifting up the passing line for that girl and see her true strength. The others looked at Lu Tianzong in astonishment. To intervene in the elite league was not an easy thing. Otherwise, they would have sent someone to meddle a long time before. It seemed that he had worked out something and found some connections. The others looked at each other and knowingly kept their mouth shut about this. Back to Suoping's store. Having trained in the nursing pen for a night, Suoping felt his astral powers had progressed again. He got up early and heard some noises outside. He went and opened the door. Many customers had arrived. Some who were familiar with each other were chatting about the Elite League. Suoping suddenly remembered that the Elite League was still ongoing. The finals would start the following day. It came as a surprise to him that customers would return this day. It had been a while since the store had any business, so Suoping needed to adjust himself. He didn't welcome the customers, he closed the door instead. What? Sir? The customers had yet to flash their smiles at Suoping when the door was shut in front of them. Suoping opened the painting and shook out Tang Ruin immediately. She was sleeping soundly when she was thrown to the floor all of a sudden. Startled, she woke up right away. She looked around and then saw the familiar environment and that hateful man. She loosened up her nerves, she was frustrated, once she remembered that she was still in captivity. She stood up, tidied her clothes and bellowed at Suoping, "Can you let me know before you get me out next time? Go and clean yourself up. We have customers today. Look nice because someone may show up to pick you up today," Suoping said while he organized the counter. Having had no customers to attend to in a few days, Tang Ruin seemed to have settled in her life of detainment. She had been living like an indoors woman in the painting. If she were a boy, she would have had a stubble beard. "We have business." Only till then did she notice the noise outside. Her eyes glowed. Finally, people were coming. She was excited and happier than Suoping that the store would open again. She didn't waste any time arguing with Suoping and hurried to the bathroom to refresh herself. As a matter of fact, she didn't have any makeup on. She just washed her face, and combed her messy hair so that it wouldn't look like a bird's nest. "Sir, I'm here to have my pets trained again." The first in line was Zhang Baoxing. He smiled from ear to ear. Although Suoping's store had become more popular than ever, Zhang Baoxing had still managed to be the first to arrive. Suoping still remembered him. He nodded and went back to his counter as he asked, "Still the pyro canine?" "Yes." Zhang Baoxing nodded. Speaking of the pyro canine, he was emotionally riled up. He had made it to the top 100 in a branch venue. At the finals, as long as he could pass the test, he would become one of the top 1,000. If he made the cut, his name would become known to the public. His name, as well as the names of other winners, would be released by the media and would travel across the entire Longjiang base city. As for whether people would actually remember one name out of 1,000, that was another story for another time. At the very least, to make it to the top 1,000 was something to be proud of. In the future, whether Zhang Baoxing were to join an explorer's team, or to find a job at a company in the base city, this experience would add brilliance to his resume and people would treat him with respect. "General training or professional training?" Suoping asked. "Just the general one is fine." Zhang Baoxing was a bit embarrassed. He had left an impression on Suoping by being the first one in line every time, and yet, he would only choose the general training, which had been a source of frustration for him. He would certainly want the professional training. However, he could not afford to pay 1 million. In Suoping's store, the pet training effects were stunning. At the same time, compared to the other pet stores, the charges were shockingly high. Anyone with a couple of thousand or 10,000 could have purchased a service at any pet store. On the contrary, here at Suoping's store, the cheapest item would cost 100,000. Suoping chatted with Zhang Baoxing a bit while he wrote down the latter's information and collected the money. He was happy for Zhang Baoxing to be one of the 100 winners at a branch venue. Suoping received more customers after Zhang Baoxing left. Those who had arrived at the store earlier were all familiar ones. Suoping remembered some of their names, but others, he could only remember their faces. It seemed that the recurrent customers were aware of So Ping's habit of sending away customers. So, to get a spot, they had shown up rather early. Over a dozen customers had left. All of a sudden, someone slammed his hand at So Ping's counter. "You must compensate me." This angry shout startled the other customers that were waiting quietly. Surprised, they popped their heads in and looked. So Ping raised his eyebrows. So Ping still remembered this young man a bit. He thought of a possibility. "Explain." So Ping frowned. This young man didn't expect that So Ping would still be cool-headed, which filled him with even more anger. "Sir, you have the top 100 package and you promised me that I would make it to the top 100 at the finals. But I didn't even make it to the branch venue. What can you say about that?" As soon as the sound of his voice died down, the other customers could not help but turn their gaze to So Ping. Almost everyone had learned about those services offered by the Pixie Pet Store. The claim of the guaranteed championship had made the name Pixie Pet Store known across the Longjiang base city in an instant. However, since that promise was too outrageous, few believed and they only regarded it as a publicity stunt. As such, there had been people arguing that to gain fame and to market its services, the Pixie Pet Store had used all means, fair or foul, and didn't have moral integrity whatsoever. But people didn't anticipate that the top 100 package could go wrong either. This man didn't make it to the top 100 at the branch venue? As people stared at them in astonishment, the young man fixed So Ping with a furious glare as if he were going to eat the latter alive. So Ping darted another look at the young man and remembered that he did buy the package. So Ping could still recall that for all the customers choosing this package, he would use professional training on their pets which all had 7th rank abilities. It was unlikely that those people would lose at the branch venues, unless they were extremely unfortunate. "Sir, your name, please," So Ping said calmly. He thought this was possibly a Liu family's attempt at sabotage. He had thought that the Liu family would target Ye Hao and Su Yaning who had bought the top 10 package. As it turned out, the Liu family only went after this man. "Sun Chu." The young man sneered. "Do you want to deny it? I still have the contract we signed." "Hold your horses," So Ping said and then opened up the registration book. He found the information about this man and it was indeed him. So Ping said nothing. He opened a web page and searched for the video of Sun Chu's battle. Soon, a bunch of videos popped out and some were shot by members of the audience. So Ping chose the ones with a higher view count. Those videos had high quality because they had been edited by the organizer. For the next few minutes, So Ping watched all the videos with a frown. After he closed the last video, he loosened his frown and coldness overtook his face. Sun Chu noticed the change in So Ping's expressions. "That is ironclad evidence. Do you still want to deny it? You are running an unethical business. Refund me!" Sun Chu shouted. The customers that were queuing behind had stepped forward and they were watching, standing on tiptoes. Everyone was curious. This situation had come as a surprise to Tang Ruyan as well. She stood on the side in a daze. Instead of taking pleasure in So Ping's misfortune, she was a bit worried. If the store's reputation was damaged, and then customers ran away, then the day when Mr. Right could come and recognize her, would be way into the future. "You had a 6th rank Aurora Fox in my store, right?" So Ping looked straight into Sun Chu's eyes. "Yes." "What? You want to beat me?" Sun Chu was a bit scared. So Ping answered coldly, "I trained your Aurora Fox so that it could easily defeat and kill 7th rank beasts. Why didn't you use it?" Sun Chu could not find any words. The other customers found So Ping's answer hard to believe. A pet with a bloodline of the lower position of the 6th rank could progress to a level where it could easily kill a 7th rank beast? That was beyond belief. Some of the customers had trained their pets in So Ping's store. With the general training, their pets could either become stronger or learn a new skill. But none of the pets could have achieved such a level of progress. Many people turned their doubtful gazes to the young man. Some of the more scheming ones had already thought of a possibility. Sun Qiu must have heard the hushed whispers around him. He made up his mind. That's what you say? The 7th rank? If my pet is that good, do you think I wouldn't use it? How dare you mention my pet? See what you have done to my Aurora fox. With that said, he opened up the contract space and from it fell out a fox. The fox should have been covered with snow-white fur, but at the moment, some dark dots had tainted its fur as if some sort of paint had been spilled over the fox. Su Ping pulled a long face. He was sure that this Aurora fox did not leave the store like this. That was to say, the Aurora fox was only suffering this misery because of this man after it had left the store. Was this an accident? Or not? Su Ping felt anger was burning up in him. He wasn't furious because this man was slandering him, but because of the tragic state the Aurora fox was in. Your pet was in perfect shape when you took your pet away from my store. Su Ping's eyes exuded coldness as he fixed his stare at Sun Qiu. Are you here because the Lu family gave you instructions? Or did you hurt your battle pet outside and came to blackmail me? Scared by Su Ping's glare, Sun Qiu's heart skipped a beat. He would have never imagined that he would see such horrors in a human's eyes. Sun Qiu gulped and took a step backward. Are you still trying to deny it? What Lu family? I don't understand what you are talking about. Are you calling me a liar? You should rot in hell. All of a sudden, with the turbulence in the air, Sun Qiu was lifted up and hovered midair. Having lost his balance, plus the feeling of his feet being off the ground frightened Sun Qiu. He cried out, knowing that the only people capable of this move were titled battle pet warriors. You have hurt my pet. Now you're trying to kill me in public. Sun Qiu's voice trembled. The other customers never expected this turn of events. They wondered if it was a titled battle pet warrior hiding in the store or whether Su Ping was the one who had captured Sun Qiu like this. Su Ping looked too young for people to believe that he was the one lifting Sun Qiu up. Furious as Su Ping was, he chose not to finish Sun Qiu's life directly. To detriment his own business over a man like this was not worthwhile. You claimed that I have hurt your pet, right? I will have your pet healed, we'll later see what else you can say. Su Ping kept his cold glare on Sun Qiu while he mentally contacted Joanna, telling her to come and treat the pet. Of the many skills Joanna mastered, healing was one of them. Ding! All of a sudden, Su Ping heard a voice on his mind. Someone deliberately discrediting the store detected. Temporary mission, save the reputation of the store and kill the person behind this. Time limit for the mission, 72 hours. Reward for mission accomplished, a pet skill book of legendary level. Punishment for mission failed, -1 million energy points. The system blurted out with rage. Su Ping was surprised. It had been a long time since the system had issued any temporary missions. The first time was when the store had just opened. The Fan siblings went to pick bones with him, which triggered the system to issue a temporary mission out of wrath. A long time had passed since then. This was the second time that the system had issued a temporary mission. A pet skill book of the legendary level. Su Ping's eyes glowed in excitement. Last time, the Inferno Dragon had spent a week in the demigod burial to learn just one legendary skill, and that was by accident. A pet skill book could be applied to a pet directly for immediate study. He thought it would be the best if the skill was suitable for the little skeleton. It would help the little skeleton to build up its strength. It seems that this man has upset the system, resorting to tarnishing the reputation of my store by harming his own pet, Su Ping thought. In the old days, there had been people who had shown up, treating his store as an unethical business, but none of them had caught the system's attention. Yet today, this man's action had enraged the system. Su Ping stopped his thoughts from running away and turned his focus back to this man. At the same time, Joanna went to see the Aurora fox. She darted one look at the pet that was lying on the ground and frowned. Right then, she heard a strange message in her mind. That message had been delivered in an ancient language that she had never heard of, and it was not the human language that she would use to speak with Suaping. However, it just so happened that she could understand the meaning according to the verbal instructions. She had to treat and cure the pet, and that was her responsibility as an employee. Success in her employee points could increase by 20. If she failed, she would lose 20 points. In the meantime, a small information interface popped up on her mind with her employee points displayed on it, 100 points. Those were her initial points. When it got down to 50 points, she would be transformed into a pet for the store. When it decreased to 80 points, she would lose her employee benefits. Joanna was stunned, but she never questioned the authority of the being behind the mysterious voice for a second. She had known for a long time that the creature behind this store was something far superior that she could ever imagine. Besides, this was the first time that she had been informed of a way to increase her employee points since she came to work in Suaping's store. She could have 20 extra points. She took a deep breath and squatted down. She placed her hand on the trembling Aurora Fox. The profound divine energy seeped into the Aurora Fox from her fingers, and the energy floated around inside the Aurora Fox. You! What are you doing? Do not touch my pet! Sun Qiu shouted in surprise and anger. Joanna closed her eyes. A moment later, she opened them and a glint of coldness rose in her eyes. She looked at Sun Qiu, who was still frozen in midair. The Aurora Fox is not of an outstanding species, but its master, you, are a piece of garbage, she berated him. Sun Qiu could find no words to reply. Suaping was surprised that Joanna would get angry over this. Joanna put her hands together for the divine energy to converge over the Aurora Fox. The wisps of divine energy wrapped the Aurora Fox up like a cocoon. All the customers marveled at this mirage and stared with open mouths. They had never seen a healing skill like this, except in movies. A moment later, Joanna stopped mobilizing the divine energy and all the special effects vanished. The Aurora Fox landed on the ground. The ugly dots over its snow-white fur were gone. There seemed to be some traces of golden glow over the tips of its fur. Suaping could tell that it was because of divine energy residue. After Joanna's treatment, the Aurora Fox's aptitude would improve as well. System, do you have a way to sever the tie between the pet and its master? Suaping asked in his mind. The system kept silent for a moment before it replied, I'm not willing to sever the tie between any pet and its master. Suaping was surprised. Not willing to? That meant the system could but would not do it. He did not try to persuade the system, which had a one-track mind. The system would never give up once it had made a decision. Since the system could not, then Suaping decided to solve the matter by himself. Tell me. Who sent you here? Suaping's glare could freeze the man. Suaping had a guess, the Liu family. However, he could not rule out the possibility that it could be another family making a third party the instrument of a crime, and this man was the borrowed knife. Suaping gazed at him. Is that so? Looking into Suaping's eyes, Sun Qiu felt chills. But on second thought, he believed Suaping would not kill him in public after he had openly begged. If Suaping did so, it would only be damaging to his reputation. It is entirely my fault. Mr. Su, you're a kind man. Thank you so much for helping my pet. From now on, I am willing to toil like a beast of burden for you, Sun Qiu went on, and he certainly looked sincerely sorry for his deeds. The other customers believed they had just found out about the whole story. They still disliked Sun Qiu but did not hate him as much. After all, he had apologized. Suaping cast a meaningful glance at Sun Qiu. You are willing to toil like a beast of burden for me, hey? Okay. So, to make up for this, you will stay in my store and work for me today. Then it'll be all water under the bridge. From today on, do no such things again. Men must live by ethical standards. Suaping sounded calm. Sun Qiu did not expect that Suiping would let him off the hook so easily. Was Suiping afraid that punishing him in public would reflect poorly upon him? Inside, Sun Qiu was relieved. He immediately nodded to Suiping to express his gratitude at once. The other customers praised Suiping for being tolerant. Suiping called over Tang Ruin, who had been there to watch the whole show. You will be in charge of him. Teach him how to receive the customers. It stunned Tang Ruin that Suiping could be so lenient. What a surreal situation. Still, with so many people present, she did not show her suspicion. She nodded and looked at Sun Qiu, who almost got in the way of her leaving the store. As such, she really didn't like him. Follow me. You will keep the orders in the store and I will be at the door greeting customers. Sun Qiu's eyes glowed as this charming lady talked to him. It was a pleasure to be working with such a beauty. Working at Suiping's store still filled him with some uneasiness and anxiety. Otherwise, he would have been more than eager to spend every day working alongside such a pretty girl. This was just a small episode for the day and it passed soon. Suiping received more customers and he even met Ye Hao and Su Yanning, who had made it to the top 100 of the branch venues American Samoa. Well, Ye Hao was at the gun control zone while Su Lingyu chose the crescent zone. Suiping saw Su Yanning up on the stage when the zone chief was distributing awards, but he did not go and say hi to her because he was far away. Suiping had watched Ye Hao and Su Yanning's videos online. After all, they had bought the top 10 packages in his store and he had to pay attention, afraid that his competition against Primo would impact them. But so far, it seemed that the Liu family didn't even try to target the two of them. Suiping was not sure if the Liu family would set up some traps for Ye Hao and Su Yanning for the upcoming matches. Of course, the Liu family would have to pay if they wanted to hinder them. The Liu family would have to send out their core members of the family to stop Ye Hao and Su Yanning, and those core members, needless to say, had their own targets. They might not want to take the lead at the cost of their personal goals. Suiping congratulated Ye Hao and Su Yanning. Later on, he saw another familiar face, Su Kuang, the one who Suiping had once tutored. After those standing in front of him left, Su Kuang took a big stride over to approach Suiping and shout, "Mr. Su, long time no see. How I've missed you." Suiping still remembered Su Kuang. He couldn't quite stand the latter's enthusiasm. "Are you really so worked up? You are my teacher and I am happy to see you. He who teaches me for one day is my father for life." Su Kuang was always full of reasons. Suiping rolled his eyes. He would never get rid of the shameless Su Kuang, would he? "Stop it! What pet are you training this time?" Suiping didn't want to waste another second talking nonsense with Su Kuang. Anyways, he would never admit that he had such a stupid student. Su Kuang wasn't happy that Suiping would talk shop directly. Still, he answered obediently, "Sir, I didn't make it to the reopening of your store because I was at the barren area. I heard that you have the top 10 package. Do you have any spots left? I want one, top 5 will be the best." Suiping cast him a glance. "The top 10 package is still available, but for the top 5, if you want it, I can sell you it. However, you have to know that the price is not the same." Su Kuang patted his chest in confidence. "Sir, do you think I am in want of money?" Suiping grinned. "You are not? Great. You want to be one of the top 5, right? The initial fee will be 50 million and you may need to spend up to 8 million. Su Kuang replied in astonishment, "Sir, even the championship would only cost 100 million. I just want to make it to the top 5. What is the difference?" Suiping answered with a question. Su Kuang could only reply with a speechless stare. He could not argue with Suiping. Suiping really deserved to be a titled battle pet warrior. Looking at him and listening to his words. Those simple words could enlighten the benighted. "Sir, you are dope." Su Kuang gave Suiping a thumbs up. Suiping went on. "You are not in want of money. So, Can you afford it? Su Kuang answered without delay, of course I can. I came back late because I got delayed by my trip to the barren area. I was there making money. I went with my sister, we killed many beasts and made a lot of money. Oh, good. Su Ping nodded happily. The lamb had learned to feed itself. Then pay up. About the pet, Su Ping was about to caution Su Kuang briefly when the latter cut him off. Su Kuang waved his hand and said, Sir, you don't have to say anything about the pet training here. I trust you. Others may doubt you but not me, no, not in a million years. Making a dozen millions is not a big deal for you, right? Su Ping exclaimed to himself that Su Kuang sounded quite smart. Su Ping thought for a moment, then gave an honest comment, you have the root of wisdom that can lead a person to the truth. Su Kuang's eyes flickered with happiness. Finally, his talent had been recognized. He grinned from ear to ear. Sir, you flatter me. I am not nearly as good as you are. Su Ping smiled again but said nothing else in case Su Kuang would butter him up again. Su Ping took the money and the pet and asked Tang Ruin to see Su Kuang out. 2 hours later, all the nursing pens in the store were fully occupied. Su Ping had to say sorry and close the door. As the saying goes, first time strangers, second time friends. The customers whined after Su Ping's announcement but then they all left right away. They had gotten used to this strange rule in Su Ping's store. Su Ping had the Inferno Dragon come back after every customer was gone. Sir, I will take off now. Sun Chu, who had been there helping out, went to see Su Ping with a polite smile. Su Ping watched till the last customer was gone before he finally looked at Sun Chu. He smiled and patted the latter's shoulder. Wait a moment. Then, he closed the door. Sun Chu's smile vanished the moment the doors were shut, swiftly turning into terror. But when Su Ping turned around to see him, Sun Chu forced a smile. Sir, what is the meaning of this? Su Ping sat down on the couch in the lounge, took a stretch and slowly said, since no one is here now, you can tell me, honestly, who sent you here. Do not force me to give you the third degree. It sounded reasonable. Still, the Inferno Dragon had been guarding outside the store and he was competing against Primo. Even a fool would have known that Su Ping's store had powerful connections and could not be offended. No one would have dared to blackmail him. Even if he were in the wrong and messed up a pet during training, people would have to think twice before they went there to blame him, as he would certainly not admit his wrongdoing. Are there methods of interrogation used by the Tang family? Su Ping asked Tang Ruin who was standing by him. Tang Ruin raised her eyebrows. She took one look at this Sun Chu and answered calmly, of course. We can make a dead guy talk. Do you want me to take over? Sure. He's all yours. Take him to the scroll. Su Ping smiled. No problem, Tang Ruin said. She was bored out of her skull. She couldn't wait to try something on this guy. Finally, she would be able to vent her frustration on someone. Fear rose in Sun Chu's eyes as Su Ping and Tang Ruin exchanged ideas, as if he weren't there. Are you thinking about murdering me in broad daylight? I've told you the truth. Why won't you believe me? Sun Chu could not help but argue. Not all money can be made easily. Su Ping turned to him. I think you may have forgotten the fact that titled battle pet warriors can determine life and death. I may want to kill you here. So what? Sun Chu was scared stiff. He remembered when that mass of energy confined him in midair. Cold sweat coursed down his body. It was true. The titled battle pet warrior could kill him without having to face any consequences. He said words that displeased a titled battle pet warrior and that was enough to put him to death. You have 3 seconds to decide. Su Ping put up one finger. Sun Chu's legs shivered. As Su Ping put up the second finger, Sun Chu's internal struggle intensified. By the time Su Ping put up his third finger, Sun Chu could no longer handle the pressure. I will tell you everything. He sounded so feeble as if he were going to collapse. Tang Ruyan was rubbing her fingers, ready to interrogate Sun Qiu. Hearing his words, she pouted. What a weak man! How could he come clean so quickly? I haven't tried anything on him yet. Talk! Su Ping shouted all of a sudden. This sudden shout stressed out Sun Qiu, who had just relaxed his nerves a bit again. Sun Qiu gulped. He could see the killing intent in Su Ping's eyes. With a trembling voice, Sun Qiu started. Yes, the Lu family sent me here. You're competing against Primo, which belongs to them. You have also disrupted their business and they want you to go bankrupt and close your store. Su Ping raised his eyebrows. It was indeed the Lu family. Su Ping didn't buy all of Sun Qiu's words at once. Tell me the entire plan. He pushed Sun Qiu. Sun Qiu hesitated a moment but eventually decided to spill out everything in front of Su Ping. It turned out that not long after he booked Su Ping's service, the Lu family had sent someone to him and promised him that they would offer him a large sum of money after he finished the plan of making a false accusation against Su Ping's store and tarnishing his reputation. Naturally, the Lu family was the reason that the Aurora fox got sick. They injected the Aurora fox with a fierce toxin which greatly compromised the Aurora fox's combat strength. Without timely treatment, the Aurora fox would gradually decay and die. As compensation, the Lu family had claimed that they would give Sun Qiu a more powerful pet with a better bloodline. Sun Qiu fell for all the tempting terms and that was how it all happened. Su Ping fell into deep thought. A moment later, he posed another question. What is the name of the man that came to you? Sun Qiu shook his head. I don't know. He was wearing a mask. I didn't even see his face. Su Ping raised his eyebrows. Tang Ruyan was still rubbing her fingers. I have a reasonable belief that he is lying. How about I use some torture measures on him first? Su Ping just replied to her with a sideways glance. At the same time, Joanna stepped over and made another proposal. If you're interested in the truth, I can use Hellish Soul to grill his soul directly and dig out his memory. You will know everything. Su Ping was interested. She could search his soul? Are there any side effects? Dementia, if mild, and sudden death if the effect is too strong. And there's a possibility that it could backfire on me. But, given the fact that he's such a puny human being, no way that searching his soul can backfire on me. Joanna sounded calm. Su Ping was relieved. But he didn't know that Joanna would help him out voluntarily. Then you can have it. Be careful. Joanna merely said The fact that she would offer to help was because she had obtained the 20 points. She had realized that her life was tied with Su Ping and with the benefits of the store. Anything she did for the benefit of the store would be for her benefit as well. Besides, once she gathered points, she would be rated as an outstanding employee and she could ask to go to any worlds, including the Archean Divinity, the place she was dying to visit. She wanted to see if voluntary help would gain her more points. Even if it could not, at the very least, Su Ping would not deduct her points. What do you think you are doing? As Joanna went closer, Sun Qiu became nervous. He remembered very well how this girl had cured the Aurora fox and therefore, was dreadful of her. Squeak! All of a sudden, a white blur jumped out and threw itself in front of Sun Qiu. It was the Aurora fox. It stood on the ground and arched its back, combat ready. It showed its teeth to Joanna. Its hostility to Joanna was obvious. Joanna and Tang Ruyan were stunned still. Neither of them expected that the Aurora fox would come forward at this moment. It came as a surprise to Su Ping as well. He looked even more awful and furious. Squeak, squeak! The Aurora fox cried out at Joanna, threatening her not to come close. The Aurora fox knew that the girl just saved its life and yet at this very moment, it could tell that the girl was a threat to its master. It could feel its master's fear and hear his summoning. It would always be there when its master needed it. because its master meant the world to it. After Joanna came back to her senses, she frowned and dashed away. In an instant, she had approached the Aurora Fox. She placed a seal made up of divine energy on the Aurora Fox's forehead. The Aurora Fox was about to struggle when fatigue came over and it fell asleep. Sun Qiu was freaked after seeing that Joanna could teleport. He was more terrified than ever. He was not a powerful battle pet warrior, but he had common sense. Flying was a unique ability for titled battle pet warriors. As for teleporting, that was a power mastered by legendary battle pet warriors. Some pets could learn to teleport, but for pets, this was mentioned as a secret skill. He had never heard of any human being, other than legendary battle pet warriors, who could master this skill. Pa! Abruptly, Suoping, who had been sitting on the couch, moved closer to Sun Qiu, who was still in astonishment, and then slapped the latter on his face. The slap had left a clear mark on Sun Qiu's face and blood was oozing out from his mouth. For you, you can have many pets. But for your pets, you are the world for them. You betrayed your Aurora Fox and it still is willing to fight for you. You can do as many dirty deeds as you like, but the one thing you should never do is to betray your closest friend. Suoping was angrier than ever. He had taken care of many pets and he had his own pets as well. Having fought so many battles, he was well aware of how committed pets were to their masters. Pets were not tools, but partners, friends, and families when they were willing to sacrifice anything for their masters, even their lives. Suoping's display of fury astounded Tang Ruyan. She quieted down and made no more jokes. Joanna darted a look at Suoping but said nothing. She put down the Aurora Fox and then grabbed Sun Qiu's arms. Divine energy converged on her fingertips as she gently pressed her fingers on his forehead. A long while later, the divine energy receded, and the golden glow around Joanna died down. She let go of him. Sun Qiu appeared to be lifeless and dull-looking, as if he were in a coma. Joanna turned to Suoping. I will pass the memory to you. Pass. Suoping was still wondering when a memory clip suddenly came into his mind. He saw Sun Qiu and someone else. Soon, he saw when Sun Qiu and a middle-aged man were talking. That is, someone from the Zhou family. During their discussion, unlike what Sun Qiu said, the other man exposed his face. He identified himself as well. He was from the Zhou family, not the Lu family. The Zhou family had put Sun Qiu up to this. The man had told him to claim that it was the Lu family who was ordering him. Suoping pulled a long face. Not having finished the Lu family yet, the Zhou family got involved as well. If it weren't for Joanna, he would have gone after the wrong party. Stay here. I'll have to go out. Suoping took a deep breath. Joanna asked, where to? This hatred is not unwarranted. I will go and settle the matter today, Suoping answered. Tang Ruyan realized that something bad was going to happen. She could not help but warn him, are you going to find who was behind this? That must be someone from a major family in your base city, right? Isn't it too dangerous for you to go alone? Since when do you care about my safety? Suoping turned to Tang Ruyan. Tang Ruyan blushed. I'm not caring about your safety. I am just afraid that when you die, I'll have to stay in the scroll and no one will be able to find me. Suoping snorted but said nothing else. He called out the little skeleton from the nursing pen and told Tang Ruyan to get back inside the scroll. What about him? Joanna pointed at Sun Qiu. Suoping darted one look and slapped Sun Qiu. Bang! The tremendous force came over Sun Qiu and due to the strong impact, Sun Qiu's milky eyes popped out from his head. Then, his head and body burst open at the same time. Suoping had killed him with one slap. Blood was spilled everywhere. Joanna's shield helped her repel the blood. System, I'll trust that you'll clean my store up. Suoping coldly gazed at the dead body and the spilled blood. A man like this did not deserve to have pets. Since the system was unwilling to cut off the tie between this man and his pet, then, Suaping was more than glad to solve it on his own. This was his method. As he died, any ties would be gone as well. The Aurora Fox no longer had a master. This violent act had stunned Tang Ruyan. She looked at Suaping for a second and then went back to the scroll without further complaints. Suaping stored away the scroll. The little skeleton had run back to him. Suaping placed it back in the contract space. Take care of the store. I'll be back shortly, Suaping said again before he left. Chapter 300 Piss Off. Where is he off to? Solingyu was in a daze. From the speed alone, she could tell that it wasn't a drive in a calm state. Suaping drove the car and entered the highway. He drove his car at top speed along the highway and soon arrived at the toll booths found at the border of the uptown area. Many cars were waiting in several lines to pass. Telekinesis. As Suaping wielded his spiritual power, the car took to the skies and directly flew over the toll booths. Given the strength of his mind, manipulating an armored vehicle that weighed almost 2 tons was a child's play. The flying vehicle immediately caught the attention of those in the vicinity. Some stared open-mouthed. It was a surprise that they could see a titled battle pet warrior there. The siren strapped to a tall pole went off but was soon turned off by someone. No kidding. No titled battle pet warrior would have to pay on the highway. Across all the base cities, titled battle pet warriors were eligible for the highest level of special treatment. After all, when the base cities were under attack by beasts, the ones that would make the greatest contribution to protect the base cities were the titled battle pet warriors. They were the cornerstone in human society and everyone would treat them with respect. Having flown over the toll booth, Suaping landed his car slowly and kept moving along the highway. Soon, he got off the highway and drove to the Zhou family's residence in the King's Zone according to the navigation. The residence of the Zhou family was not merely a building, it covered a large swath of land, and could be called a city within the city. Every facility needed was ready and available in this garden-like residence, including a private hospital, battle venue, a training stadium for pets, supermarkets, etc. Those that could live there were direct line descendants of the Zhou family, or some born of concubines but had made outstanding contributions to the Zhou family. All the facilities and equipment were the best of their kind. Take the pet clinic for example, all the staff was formed by master healers. For some Zhou family members who weren't direct descendants, whenever they couldn't find a cure for their pets outside and would want to go to the family clinic, they would have to apply for approval and reserve in advance. Branch members who had not made any contributions couldn't even have a chance to step into the Zhou family residence even if they wanted to. Suaping stopped his car. The exhaust pipe was burning hot. Suaping got off of the car and looked at the huge gates, they were actually larger than any usual entrance. There was an archway and several guards were posted, the threshold was large enough for 7 to 8 cars to go in together. A guard shouted as Suaping approached the gates, "Halt! Authorized personnel only. Have you made any reservations?" Suaping cast a glance at the guard. Whoosh! The guard suddenly was lifted off the ground and hovered several meters in the air, he waved his arms and legs in a fluster. "Can this count as a reservation?" Suaping asked. All of the other guards were appalled by this. They hadn't been able to tell that this young-looking man was a titled battle pet warrior. They couldn't believe that he was showing his actual age. Some titled battle pet warriors could use special items to keep their young looks. They put their astonishment aside and a team leader stepped forward. "Sir, who are you here to visit? I will report it and have someone come to pick you up at once." Suaping looked at him coldly. "Your family head." The team leader was taken aback. He could notice that Suaping was there with hostile intentions. This was not a friendly visit. "Sir, this is the Zhou family's residence. You cannot be disrespectful." The guard felt troubled but he had to work up the courage to warn Suaping. He knew that the camera was running and if he flinched, the surveillance video would record his coward act. Afterward, he would be fired and banished from the family. Piss off! Suiping was not in the mood to waste time there. He said those two words and energy surged out of his body, pushing away all the guards. But he spared their lives. He was there to finish the mastermind behind that scheme, and it was not his wish to go after innocent lives. Of course, whether those guards were innocent or not was another question. Suiping clasped his hands behind his back and went through the gates. The guard who was lifted suddenly fell down. Since the guard was at the 5th rank, falling from such a height would only be a bit hurtful, but he wouldn't be injured. The guards crawled up from the ground as Suiping broke into the gates and used their intercom to alert others in the family. The Zhou family's residence had a nice landscape. The flourishing grass made a green carpet on the ground. All the streets were wide and neatly built, they could allow several cars to travel side by side at the same time. Suiping walked a bit and felt this pace was too slow. He waved his hand and a dark swirl appeared in the air. With a roar, the purple python wiggled out of thin air. The purple python was close to 50 meters long, a length that was found among the common 8th rank pythons, although the purple python was merely at the 6th rank. Because of the limitation of its bloodline, for the moment, the purple python was unable to achieve further breakthroughs. Suiping stomped the ground and jumped up. With arms behind his back, he stood tall on the purple python's head. "Let's go!" Receiving the instructions, the purple python moved forward along the wide street. Coldness was exuded by its cyan-colored eyes. Not long afterward, a crowd of guards suddenly rushed at them from further ahead. They were wearing a matching yellowish armor. They were members of the Zhou army. That was a private army owned by the Zhou family, all its members were the outstanding disciples of the Zhou family. They would have to be at least advanced battle pet warriors to become members of this army. "Stop right there!" The soldiers were furious to see this young man standing on top of the huge python's head. They hurried over as soon as they received the reports from those guarding the gates. It was unbelievable that there would be such a rude invader. How dare he summon his pet and move about in their Zhou family's residence? "I'm here to visit someone. As to all the irrelevant personnel, stay out of my way." Suiping enunciated every single word. How audacious! Those who offend the Zhou family shall be punished with death. The soldiers stood in 2 lines. They all began to mobilize their astral powers. Swirls of various sizes appeared next to them or above their heads. From those swirls snuck out battle pets that were of different species but were all equally terrifying. In an instant, the spacious street became overly packed. Suiping squinted his eyes. He waved his hand and opened up a crack in space. Heavy flames gushed out from the crack as if a volcano had erupted. Following that was a soul-shattering roar that lingered in both heaven and earth. The Inferno Dragon could feel its master's killing intent and determination. Surrounded by Inferno Dragon fire, the Inferno Dragon was there to answer its master's call.